Analysts widely covered Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Paris, where he met not only with French President Emmanuel Macron, but also with Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the European Commission. Despite extensive discussions, no major economic agreements were signed during the visit. Macron attempted to leverage the informal setting of the visit alongside the official agenda to engage the Chinese leader. In summary, the discussions primarily centered on trade disputes, with some focus on Beijing's role in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. The president of the European Commission reiterated her discontent with the influx of inexpensive green technologies from China to Europe, labeling it as unfair competition detrimental to EU producers. She firmly stated that the EU would not accept this situation and hinted at the possibility of implementing stringent measures to protect EU businesses. Macron displayed his characteristic approach during the negotiations. While outwardly supporting von der Leyen's stance, he refrained from taking any concrete actions. Meanwhile, Beijing announced the suspension of plans to increase tariffs on French cognac until the conclusion of investigations prompted by certain trade restrictions imposed by the EU on Chinese businesses in late 2023 to early 2024. French cognac exports to China reportedly constitute nearly 20% of the country's total exports of this alcoholic beverage. Although Xi Jinping diplomatically described the negotiations with EU leaders as fruitful, in reality, only relatively small to medium-sized contracts with French companies were signed. These include agreements such as the construction of new subway lines in various Chinese cities. Therefore, the expression of gratitude towards the President of China from the Élysée Palace shouldn't come as a surprise. However, it's evident that these agreements didn't materialize out of thin air. Paris has openly expressed interest in hosting Chinese factories, particularly those focused on electric car production. Macron's behavior remains consistent with his reputation for duplicity, even in dealings with allies. The issue of Chinese electric cars stands out as a sore point for the EU, with Brussels accusing Beijing of providing state support that allows Chinese businesses to undercut European counterparts by nearly 20%. This significantly undermines European profits, but Macron's ambitions appear to take precedence over such concerns. Additionally, Macron seems to have capitalized on Beijing's willingness to cooperate with Paris in halting all military activities worldwide during the Olympic Games, as proposed by Xi Jinping. A brief analysis of Xi Jinping's visit to France, including his meeting with Ursula von der Leyen, highlights significant challenges in the China-EU relationship. Brussels openly warned of the potential for Europeans to tighten trade regulations on the Beijing-EU front. The European Commission emphasized that fair trade can only be achieved with mutual access to each other's markets, free from protectionism and subsidies. Perhaps this trade misunderstanding was somewhat mitigated by Xi Jinping's assurance that Beijing would refrain from selling technologies to Moscow that could assist the Russian defense sector in achieving its objectives in Ukraine. Von der Leyen also acknowledged China's constructive role in de-escalating Russia's irresponsible nuclear threats. However, despite Macron's expectations to hear a condemnation of Russia's policies toward Ukraine from Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader once again avoided openly criticizing Russia during his visit. As widely reported by various news agencies, Xi Jinping's European trip extended beyond France to include talks in Serbia and Hungary, which carried a different tone and focus.